The war had been over for weeks. The humans had lost. At least that's what the Xalnari Empire believed. Their ships still floated above Earth's orbit like hungry vultures, watching the burning cities below. Human resistance was scattered, disorganized. Pockets of fighters remained, but their weapons were old and weak. The big guns, the powerful fleets, gone. Wiped out in the first wave. The Xalnari were proud, cold, efficient, a race of scaled beings with 4 arms, red eyes, and a long history of conquest. They had beaten a dozen species before humanity. Earth was just another name on the list, another planet stripped and broken. On the bridge of the dread ship Vakar's Claw, Commander Tilvek leaned back in his throne. His armored tail curled lazily around the base. The lights around him glowed dim red, and screens showed images of ruined Earth cities. Fires, collapsed buildings, ash drifting like snow. One of the screens blinked. A low-ranking officer turned and hissed. "Commander, Patrol Group 19 reports success. They've captured a human alive." Tilvek's eyes narrowed. "Alive? What kind of human?" "A soldier, they think. Male. He was found hiding near a destroyed bunker in Sector 12. Commander Tilvek grinned, or at least he did the Xalnari version of a grin, teeth flashing, upper lips curling back like a predator. "Bring him to the interrogation chamber. I want to see how the last of Earth's warriors dies." The human was brought aboard later that cycle. He was tall, muscular, but lean, with a short beard and a black eye forming on his face. His uniform was torn, burned at the edges. They had bound his hands with energy cuffs. He didn't speak as he was dragged through the dread ship's halls, just stared straight ahead with cold, silent eyes. Tilvek watched from above as the guards strapped him to the table. The interrogation chamber was lit by a single blue glow orb. The tools lined the walls, scanners, extractors, neural probes. They had used them before. No one lasted more than an hour. Tilvek stepped forward. "What is your name, human?" The man blinked slowly. Then he smiled. "Just a little. You can call me Cole. Rank? Doesn't matter anymore. What were you doing in Sector 12? "Waiting." "For what?" Another slow smile. "You'll find out." Tilvek growled. He waved a hand. "Begin." The first round of scans ran through Cole's body. Neural patterns, muscle density, DNA. Then something strange happened. The scanner stopped, froze. A warning symbol flashed on the screen. The technician frowned and tried again. The machine made a low buzzing sound, then shut down entirely. Tilvek turned. "Report the..." Technician's voice was nervous. I don't know, Commander. His body's wrong. The scanner can't make sense of it. Neural activity is unstable, non-linear, almost like..." "Like what?" "Like he's hiding something." "Or someone," Tilvek hissed. "Nonsense. This is one human, broken, weak. He's not hiding anything." But then Cole looked up at him. His eyes were steady. "You think you won the war," Cole said. Tilvek barked a laugh. "We destroyed your fleet, bombed your cities, your leaders are dead. What's left to fight?" Cole leaned forward as far as the straps allowed. "You didn't understand Earth. You never did." Tilvek stepped closer. "Enlighten me. We were never one army. We were thousands, millions, farmers, coders, miners, mechanics, fighters, survivors, and you picked the wrong one to bring on board." The lights flickered. Just for a second. Tilvek glanced up. The dreadship never had power issues. It was built from Xalnari obsidian steel. Flawless systems. Redundant backups. A second flicker. "Is this some kind of trick?" Tilvek growled. Cole said nothing. An alert sounded. Short, sharp. A voice crackled over the comms. "Commander, Patrol Group 19 has gone dark." "What do you mean?" "They were returning to orbit. Their ship, it just disappeared. No explosion. No signal. It was there, And then it wasn't. Tilvek's tail lashed behind him. Glitch in the tracking system? Negative. We're scanning. No debris. No trace. Another alert. This. One louder. Commander! Patrol Group 15. Same report. Vanished from scanners. Then another. And another. 6 patrol ships. Gone. Tilvek spun toward Cole. What did you do? Cole looked around, calm. You ever hear of a ghost ship, Commander? What? Deep space. Old war stories. Ships that go missing. Crews that vanish. No trace, no signal. People said they were myths, but some of us knew better. The room shook, just slightly. Another alert. The technician's hands flew over the controls. Commander, internal systems failing. Deck 8 is experiencing full blackout. We've lost contact with maintenance crews. Screams echoed faintly through the comms. Not Xalnari screams. Something worse. Cole's voice was cold now. You didn't just take a soldier. He stood up. The energy cuffs dropped to the ground, sparking. You took a door. Tilvek took a step back. Guards, restrain him! But the guards were already gone. The doors to the chamber were open. No one had noticed when. Cole walked forward, not rushed, not afraid, calm, inevitable. Tilvek raised a clawed hand. What are you? Cole stopped in front of him. He looked up. I'm not the thing you should be afraid of. Behind him, the lights went out, one by one. Darkness fell across the dread ship Vakar's claw. And in that darkness, something moved. The emergency lights bathed the corridors of the Vakar's claw in a dim red glow. Shadows stretched long, and the air was thick with tension. Somewhere deep in the ship, something scraped metal against metal, slow and deliberate. Commander Tilvek stood frozen. The human, Cole, was still standing in front of him, no longer bound, no longer restrained. The guards were gone. No alarms had sounded when they vanished. No screams, just silence. Security team to interrogation chamber 1. Tilvek barked into his comm. Static answered him. Then the screen in front of him blinked again. More ships missing. Whole wings of patrol craft. Gone. They hadn't been destroyed. There were no explosions. No wreckage. Just vanished. Cole was still there. Watching. What are you? Tilvek asked again. This time softer. Cole didn't answer. He walked over to the interrogation tools and picked up a small plasma cutter, flipping it, in his hand like it was a toy. He didn't use it, just held it. You called us primitives, he said. You thought you were safe because you broke our machines, but you don't understand humans. We don't just build weapons. We become them. Tilvek's claws twitched. You're bluffing. A deep groan echoed from the lower decks. The whole ship vibrated like something large had just shifted within the hull. It wasn't a system failure. It was movement. Cole tilted his head. You ever wonder why Earth was still dangerous even after you bombed it flat? Tilvek didn't respond. His second heart was pounding now. Xalnari didn't feel fear the same way humans did, but something old and instinctive began to surface in his mind. A warning. We didn't build one defense system, Cole said. We built thousands. Some of them weren't connected to anything. Not on the surface. They were buried, hidden. And when the signal goes out, the signal I sent when you brought me aboard, they activate. A voice cracked through the intercom, high-pitched and panicked. Bridge to Commander. There's something in the maintenance shafts. Moving fast. We lost contact with... The voice cut out. A scream followed. Then, silence again. Cole stepped closer. You thought I was a prisoner. I was never here to survive. I was here to wake it up. Tilvek's scaled skin flushed dark. Wake what up? The Ark Protocol, Cole said, as if it were obvious. Deep black program. Only a handful of us knew about it. Designed in case of planetary collapse, if humanity ever fell, we made sure something else would rise. Tilvek turned to flee, but the door behind him hissed shut, locked. Lights along the walls blinked one by one down the corridor. Then something walked past the open hallway. It was tall. Too tall. Slender but dense, its shape unclear. It didn't make a sound, not even footsteps. The Xalnari guards who had once lined the hallways were missing. Not a trace of armor or body. Just the faint scent of ozone and blood in the air. Cole sat down in the interrogation chair and put his feet up on the table. "You brought me on board to interrogate me," he said. "Turns out I'm doing the same to you." Tilvek's hands curled into fists. "This is impossible. No human could infiltrate our systems." Cole nodded. "You're right, but we didn't infiltrate. We infected." He pointed upward. "All your ships use fusion drives. Same magnetic field regulators. Guess where we buried the fail-safes? In the patterns your sensors ignore. You took hundreds of human prisoners during the first wave. Most were already dead, but you brought their bodies aboard your ships anyway. For study, dissection. You didn't scan them for dormant tech. You should have." Tilvek's breath was shallow. "What kind of tech?" "Smart biocode," Cole said. "Looks like cancer under a microscope. Harmless. Dead tissue. But when it detects certain patterns, your language, your ship's power systems, your scent, it wakes up." A new alert sounded on the screen. "Warning. Internal gravity failure. Deck 5 warning. Hull breach. Deck 7 warning. Life signs. Unknown. Non-Xalnari back toward the wall, but there was nowhere left to go. The room was dim now. Too quiet." "You made a mistake," Cole said. "You thought conquering Earth was the end. But Earth isn't just land and cities. It's a species. One that doesn't quit. One that doesn't die easy. And one that never ever forgets." The wall to the left groaned, then burst inward. The creature that stepped through wasn't human. But it was born from humanity. It had no eyes, only plates of dark armor fused with burnt tissue. Its arms were long, jointed in the wrong places, and beneath its plated skin, wires pulsed with faint blue light. Its mouth opened, wide, and let out a sound not made for ears. Tilvek screamed. Cole didn't even flinch. "That one used to be Commander Davis," he said. "Took him 3 days to die, but now he's something else, something better." The creature turned toward Cole, waited. Cole nodded once. It moved past him and toward Tilvek. Tilvek reached for his sidearm, but it was gone. Vanished, just like his guards, just like his fleet. He tried one last time to speak. "We are the Xalnari. We do not—" The creature lunged, darkness and silence. Later, in a quiet section of the dreadship, Cole stood before a wall panel. He pressed his hand to it. The screen lit up. A map of the Xalnari fleet. He spoke into the calm and cold. "Target acquired. Begin Phase 2. They'll never see it coming." One by one, ships in the fleet began to flicker off the map. No weapons fired, no engines roared. They just vanished. And far below, on the ruined surface of Earth, something deep underground finally opened its eyes. The Xalnari fleet was dying, and they didn't even know how. From their command centers, the remaining fleet captains sent panicked transmissions to each other. Voices shouted over broken signals. Distorted images flickered on holoscreens. Warnings repeated in endless loops. Gone without trace. No debris. Something inside the ship. Not Xalnari. By the time the fleet realized something was hunting them, half their ships had already vanished. On the dreadship Vakar's Claw, Cole walked calmly down the corridor. Behind him, the lights sparked and went out, one by one. His boots made soft echoes on the metal floor. His hands were empty. He didn't need a weapon. He was the weapon. The creature that had once been Commander Davis followed behind, silent as a shadow. More shapes joined them in the darkness. Human-shaped, not human, built from ruined bodies, reformed by Earth's. Last command. The Ark Protocol. The protocol hadn't been a weapon in the usual sense. It had been a last wish, coded by desperate minds during Earth's fall. Scientists, soldiers, engineers, hackers. People who knew they wouldn't survive, but wanted to leave behind something that could learn, something that could fight. And now, it was awake. Aboard the Craven Blade, a smaller Xalnari cruiser in high orbit, Captain Ralvok gripped the edge of his command chair. "We are not under attack," he said, trying to stay calm. "There is no enemy on the radar, no ships, no missiles. This is a system failure. It has to be." But even as he spoke, his navigator vanished from the chair beside him. One blink. There. Next. Blink. Gone. Ralvok stood. "Where is Ensign Loro?" A thin trail of blood ran from the seat. No body, no sound, just red. Another screen blinked. Then another. Deck by deck, his ship was going dark. He turned to the comms officer. "Get me Commander Tilvek," Static answered. Then a voice came through. But it wasn't Tilvek. It was human. "I wouldn't bother," Cole's voice said. Calm. Flat. "He's gone." Ralvok stepped back from the console. "Who is this?" "You don't know me. Doesn't matter. I'm just the fuse. What matters is the fire. You lit it. Now we burn you with it." Ralvok drew his sidearm. Useless gesture. Still, he aimed at the speakers. "Where are you? What do you want?" "You already gave us what we needed," Cole said. "You harvested human DNA, studied our minds, downloaded our histories. We let you, because we knew. The moment you brought us aboard, your ships." The countdown began. Ralvok was breathing fast now. He opened a control panel and slammed the emergency signal button. A full-spectrum distress beacon blasted out across the system. "All Xalnari ships, code black, abandon standard formation, fall back to rally point." The message never finished. The Craven Blade went silent. No explosion, just gone. Back aboard Vakar's claw, Cole stepped into the primary bridge. The doors slid open without resistance. No alarms sounded. Every Xalnari crew member was gone. He looked at the central chair. Empty. Behind him, the creatures waited. "Activate system override," Cole said. One of the creatures, once a tech specialist, now fused with biocircuitry, stepped forward. Its hand touched the ship's core panel. Data spilled across the screens like water flooding through cracks. Earth's code was rewriting the ship's systems. Language changed, power rerouted, life support reassigned, hull permissions updated. Vakar's claw was no longer a Xalnari vessel. It was human now. Cole sat down in the command chair and leaned back, watching the stars. A small smile played on his face. "We let them think they won," he whispered. And far below, on Earth's surface, deep underground, the Ark continued to wake up. Inside a mountain base buried under ash and steel, ancient machines groaned to life. Lights powered by geothermal cores blinked for the first time in years. Cryovaults opened with soft, hissing sounds. Inside, something moved. Slow at first, then faster. Human soldiers. Not the kind who died in the first wave. These ones had never been seen by the Xalnari. They had been kept in stasis, frozen by their own orders, volunteers, elite, enhanced, waiting for the signal. It had come. A tall woman with a shaven head and a long scar down her neck stepped out of her pod. Her eyes opened, glowing faint blue. She looked around at the others rising from the cryo beds. "Status report," she said. A tech officer, half awake, coughing, pulled up a dusty console. "Earth's gone. Mostly, but the signal was successful. Hostiles boarded, contamination code spread, Ark protocol is live." The woman nodded. "How many of us made it?" 4 teams confirmed. 32 in total. "Then we're enough." She looked up at the cracked ceiling. "Begin surface emergence." It's time we take back the sky. Back in orbit, ship after Xalnari ship went dark. The fleet's formation shattered. Some tried to run. Their jump drives failed. Others fired blindly into space, trying to hit enemies they couldn't see. One ship launched torpedoes at another, thinking it had been compromised. Paranoia spread faster than the virus. On board one of the last dreadships, a young Xalnari officer named Kareth locked himself in the communications room. His face was pale, eyes wide. He'd seen what was happening. He'd seen his captain pulled into the shadows by something that wore his face. Kareth opened a secure channel to Xalnari High Command, far beyond the system. "This is Officer Kareth, Fleet Varnock. Emergency transmission. The humans, they're not what we thought. We didn't destroy them. We triggered them. You have to—" The door behind him creaked. Kareth turned. Something stepped into the room. Human-shaped, but not human. It didn't speak. Kareth screamed. The transmission cut. High above Earth, the stars twinkled quietly, peaceful, beautiful. But behind them, something new was taking shape, a fleet. Not built by factories, but by infection. Not piloted, but grown. Built from Xalnari ships, controlled by Earthborn minds, merged with synthetic code and soldier instincts. Each ship bore no flag, only a single symbol, carved into the hull by fire. A human skull, with data flowing from its eyes like tears. And below that symbol, 2 words glowed red. Still fighting. The war wasn't over. Not for the humans, not for Earth. And definitely not for the Xalnari. In a dim war room buried deep within the crust of a scorched Earth city, once called Denver, now just ash and jagged steel, a group of awakened soldiers gathered around a glowing holomap. The air was stale, recycled from old filters, but the energy in the room was sharp, focused, angry. At the head of the table stood Commander Alara Voss, the same woman who'd walked out of her cryopod with glowing blue eyes and a voice like gravel over stone. "This is what we know," she said, tapping the holomap. It flickered, showing a web of Xalnari ships, once the dominant fleet above Earth. Now half of them had been marked red, blinking slowly. "Contamination spread through 29 vessels. They're either gone, compromised, or under our control. Thanks to the infiltration protocols, we now own parts of their fleet," she tapped again. The red marks expanded, spreading like a virus. "But there's a problem," she said. Cole appeared on the screen, streaming a live feed from the captured Vakar's Claw Bridge. He looked tired, but alive. "They're adapting," he said. "Too slowly to stop us yet, but they've started isolating infected systems, disabling their own engines, cutting life support to sections we control. They're willing to kill half their own crews just to stop us from spreading." "Cowards," one soldier growled. "No," Ilara said. "Not cowards, desperate, and that makes them dangerous." She turned back to the map. "We need to hit them now, fast, before they regroup." "But we're only 32, another soldier said. "They still have over 70 ships, even with our infiltration." "We're not fighting 70, Ilara said. "We're fighting 10, maybe 12. The rest are scattered, scared, and half blind." A silence fell over the room. Then a voice spoke from the doorway. "Then let's blind them all." Everyone turned. It was Sarek, one of the oldest among them, a cyber warfare specialist. He walked with a limp, metal visible in his spine, his left eye replaced with a glowing lens. "You have an idea?" Ilara asked. "I don't have an idea," he said. "I have the idea." He pulled up a new schematic. It wasn't a ship. It was a station, floating in deep orbit just outside the Xalnari fleet perimeter. "Their command relay," Sarek said. "It coordinates fleet movement, jump calculations, data links, power redistribution. It's the spine of their entire operation." He zoomed in on the schematic. "It's not heavily guarded. They never thought we'd survive long enough to reach it. Ilara stared at the screen. If we take it? They go blind, deaf, mute, trapped in the dark. Every ship becomes an island. Ilara's eyes narrowed. When do we move? Sarek smiled, and for the first time in a long time, it looked like hope. Now, in orbit, the relay station known as Kel Ravan floated silently above the dead planet. It was beautiful in design, spiked towers, shimmering defense rings, and a central core glowing with soft green energy. To the Xalnari, it was perfect, impossibly secure, surrounded by 6 defense satellites and automated turrets, but inside, it was a tomb waiting to be filled. Cole, now fully integrated into Vakar's claw, transmitted a coded message. A squad of drop pods launched from the captured dreadship. 6 black dots streaked toward the station, invisible to sensors, cloaked by the very systems the Xalnari had once stolen from Earth's network. Inside one pod, Ilara sat in silence. Across, from her, 3 soldiers loaded weapons, though none of them expected to use them. If the mission went right, there'd be no need for a fight. If it went wrong, they wouldn't be alive long enough to draw a gun. 5 seconds, said the pilot. The pod shook. 4. They hit the outer layer of the station's field. 3. The walls hummed. 2. The heat shields began to peel. 1. They slammed into the outer hull like a hammer to steel. Metal screamed. The pod door burst open. Smoke poured out. Ilara was already moving. Her boots clanged against the deck as they stormed the corridor. Xalnari guards turned. Too late. The first guard took a neural spike to the throat. The second was grabbed by one of the arc-touched soldiers, silent, inhuman, and dragged, screaming, into the shadows. In less than 30 seconds, the entrance hall was clear. No alarms, no alerts. Their code ghosts had silenced everything. They pushed forward, room by room, corridor by corridor, killing only when necessary, disabling when possible. Ilara reached the central core chamber and found it empty, except for a single Xalnari engineer trembling behind a console. He raised a tool as a weapon, hand shaking. Ilara stared at him. He looked back and slowly dropped it. "Smart choice," she said. Behind her, Sarek entered the chamber and plugged directly into the core. His fingers danced across the interface. Injecting virus now. Should take about... The lights turned red. Sarek froze. "No," he whispered. "What?" Ilara snapped. "They locked the core behind a quantum passphrase. Physical interface only. One wrong move and the entire station purges, including us. Can you break it?" Sarek's face was pale. "Maybe, but it'll take time." "You have 10 minutes," Ilara said. "Then we burn this place." He nodded and began. Far away on a Xalnari command ship, one of the last untouched vessels, Supreme Strategist Malvrix leaned forward in his chair. "Confirmed," said his officer. "The humans have breached Kel Ravan." Malvrix's red eyes narrowed. "They're not animals, not anymore." He stood. "Evacuate the station. Cut the power. Prepare for full burn." "But, Supreme, we lose that station. We lose the war." He tapped a control, and across the fleet every ship turned, its weapons toward the station in orbit, including the ones still unaware that Cole now controlled them. Back inside Kel Ravan, Sarek worked furiously. Sweat poured down his face. "Almost there," he said. "I can feel it." Alarms, finally, began to blare. Ilara spun around. "What is that?" Sarek didn't look up. "It's them. They're coming, with everything." Outside the station, a dozen Xalnari ships opened fire, but only half of the blasts hit. The others, controlled by Cole, turned their weapons back toward the Xalnari themselves. Friendly. Fire erupted. Chaos. In space, no one screamed, but the light show told the story. Ilara grabbed Sarek by the collar. "Now or never!" Sarek slammed the final key. The core lit up. Every screen flashed blue, and then silence. Across the Xalnari fleet, every ship's interface went dark. No orders, no updates, no comms, no vision, just endless, terrible silence. The fleet was blind, deaf, and the humans, they were just getting started. Darkness fell over the Xalnari fleet. Without the command relay, their ships floated like lost ghosts, unable to coordinate, unable to see friend from foe. Panic rippled through the remaining officers as ships fired at each other. Collisions filled space with shards of metal and flame. The once mighty empire was collapsing from within. But in the quiet depths of space, the human-controlled ships moved with purpose. They slipped through gaps in the chaos, their biocode humming, controlled by Cole and the Ark Protocol. They were no longer mere machines. They were hunters. On the bridge of the Vikar's Claw, Cole stood beside Ilara, watching the destruction unfold on the main screen. His expression was calm, but his eyes burned with resolve. "This is what we wanted," he said. "Chaos. Confusion. They think we're weak because we lost their first fight, but now they have no control." Ilara nodded. "They underestimated us. They forgot that humans don't give up. We adapt." Behind them, the creature that had once been Commander Davis, now a twisted fusion of flesh and technology, stood, silently, watching. Suddenly, a warning flashed. A new ship had appeared on the sensors, a massive dreadnought, untouched and intact. Its hull gleamed black as obsidian, and its engines glowed with eerie purple light. "Supreme Strategist Malvrix," Cole said quietly. "The last hope of the Xalnari fleet." Ilara gritted her teeth. "If he's here, then the war isn't over yet." The Malvrix's fury advanced steadily, weapons charged, searching for the source of the chaos. On board, Malvrix stood tall and proud, his forearms crossed over his armored chest. His eyes glowed bright red, filled with fury and determination. "They think they can take us down with tricks and virus code," he snarled. "They don't understand the power of the Empire." He tapped a panel, activating the ship's advanced sensor array. "Find that human command ship. Destroy it. Then we end this." Cole stared at the approaching dreadnought. "We can't fight him head-on. Not yet." Ilara stepped forward. "Then we don't have to. We've learned something else." She tapped a nearby console, and the screen shifted to show a star map. A single planet was highlighted, a barren world shattered by war far from Earth. "We call it the Forge," Ilara said. "An abandoned Xalnari weapons station. We've hidden something there, something they don't know about." Cole nodded. "A trap," Ilara smiled. "Exactly." The Malvrix's fury cut its engines as it approached the Forge. It was a moon-sized platform orbiting a dead planet, covered in weapon turrets and defense systems long forgotten. Malvrix sneered. "They think we will fear old machines? They are wrong." He ordered the ship to dock at the station's entrance. As the massive airlocks opened, he led a strike team to secure the station. But inside the Forge, the humans were already waiting. Ilara and her squad moved silently through. Shadowed halls, their weapons low but ready. The station's control room was rigged with ancient Xalnari traps and new human tech. The humans had reprogrammed the defenses to attack anyone who wasn't on their code. As Malvrix's team moved deeper, traps exploded around them. Walls shifted, crushing several soldiers. Automated turrets turned and fired with deadly precision. Malvrix roared, rallying his forces. "This is a human trick. Do not fall for it." But the humans had one advantage he didn't expect, a secret weapon hidden deep beneath the Forge. Meanwhile, back on the Vikar's Claw, Cole was running calculations. Rapidly. The forge's core contains an ancient weapon, he explained. An energy cannon capable of destroying ships from orbit. We need to activate it. Ilara nodded. But we need time. Malvrix is here and he won't wait. Cole turned to the creature that was once Commander Davis. Go with Ilara. Protect the station core. I'll hold off Malvrix. The creature nodded and vanished down a maintenance shaft. On the forge, Malvrix fought through waves of human soldiers, his 4 arms tearing through armor and flesh. But with every step he took, the humans retreated closer to the station's core. Ilara and her squad reached the control room and began the sequence to power up the energy cannon. Almost there, she said, fingers flying over the console. Suddenly, alarms blared. Malvrix is heading this way, a soldier shouted. Ilara looked up just as Malvrix smashed through the door, rage blazing in his eyes. You will pay for this treachery, he shouted. They fought fiercely. Metal clashed, gunfire echoed, and the station shook. Ilara was pushed back, her side grazed by a plasma blade. Malvrix advanced, ready to deliver the final blow. But then a pulse of energy blasted through the room. The station's core roared to life. The energy cannon fired a massive beam through space. It hit the Malvrix's fury without warning. The dreadnought exploded in a silent bloom of fire and metal shards. Malvrix screamed as he was thrown across the room unconscious. Back on the Vakar's claw, Cole watched the explosion. We did it, he whispered. But deep inside, he knew the war was far from over, because the Xalnari were not just fighting against weapons or soldiers. They were fighting against something they never understood: human will, and it would never be broken. The destruction of the Malvrix's fury sent shockwaves through the remnants of the Xalnari fleet. Ships trembled as news spread, both fear and fury growing in equal measure. But the humans didn't celebrate. They knew this victory was only the beginning. Cole stood on the bridge of the Vakar's claw, his eyes scanning the starfield. He could feel the weight of what was coming. The Xalnari wouldn't surrender. They would fight harder, smarter. Ilara, Cole said, we need to prepare. The Empire will send everything they have left. Ilara nodded, her glowing blue eyes reflecting the cold void outside. We'll be ready. Suddenly, the ship's comm crackled to life. A distorted Xalnari voice pierced the silence. This is Supreme Strategist Malvrix, the voice growled, rough but alive. You may have destroyed my ship, you may have taken the forge, but the war is not over. I am coming. The transmission ended with a sharp click. Cole clenched his fists. He survived. Worse, he's regrouping. Ilara's face hardened. Then we strike first. In the shadows of a ruined space station orbiting a dying star, Malvrix gathered what remained of his forces. His armor was scarred and his forearms trembled with rage. Around him stood his loyal officers, their faces grim but determined. We fight not just for survival, Malvrix roared, but for our empire's honor. The humans think they can outsmart us with viruses and tricks. They underestimate the strength of Xalnari will. He paced before a large holographic display. It showed the positions of human-controlled ships. But they forget one thing. He pressed a button, and a new image appeared. A colossal warship, unlike any the Xalnari had ever built. It pulsed with dark energy, covered in strange runes, that glowed crimson. Our secret weapon, the Obsidian Talon. A vessel designed to harness the power of collapsing stars, a weapon capable of ending entire fleets in a single blast. We will use it to crush the humans once and for all. Back. On Earth, the Ark soldiers prepared for the coming storm. Ilara moved among them, her presence a beacon of strength. The base was alive with activity. Engineers repairing old war machines, hackers refining cybernetics, and soldiers training with renewed purpose. We fight for our planet, Ilara told them. For our home. The Xalnari thought they could break us. but they only made us stronger. A young soldier stepped forward, nervous but determined. Commander, we've detected unusual energy signatures near the asteroid belt. Something big is moving. Ilara frowned. Could it be the Obsidian Talon? Likely, the soldier replied. It's unlike any ship we've seen. Ilara turned to her tech officer. Prepare the defense grid. If Malvrix wants to bring this weapon near Earth, he won't get the chance. In the dark expanse between Earth and the asteroid belt, the Obsidian Talon moved with terrifying purpose. Its engines thrummed with power, and its shields glowed against the cold void. Malvrix stood on the bridge, watching the approaching planet. This ends now, he said. But inside the ship, something stirred. The biocode Cole had implanted in the Xalnari fleet was spreading, reaching even the Obsidian Talon. It whispered in the ship's systems, rewriting commands, corrupting defenses. A low growl echoed through the corridors. In the engine room, a creature stirred, a fusion of human technology and raw power. Its eyes blazed blue as it severed the ship's core cables. Back on the bridge, alarms screamed. Malvrix's eyes widened in shock. The virus! It's inside! He ordered a lockdown, but it was too late. The Obsidian Talon shuddered. Systems failed. Weapons went dark. Engines stalled. Cole's voice crackled over the comms. You built your weapon to end us, Cole said. But you forgot one thing. We don't break. We become stronger. The ship fell silent. The last hope of the Xalnari fleet was dead. On Earth, the soldiers watched as the Obsidian Talon exploded in a brilliant flash, lighting the sky even from space. Cheers erupted, but Ilara raised a hand. This victory is ours, but the war continues. She looked to the horizon. Because humans don't fight for glory, we fight for survival, and we never ever quit. Cole stepped beside her. Let them come, he said. We'll be ready. The war had shifted. The Xalnari were no longer conquerors. They were hunted. Cole stood on the bridge of the Vakar's Claw, watching the last remnants of the enemy fleet retreat into the dark folds of space. Ships flickered like dying stars, crippled and leaderless. The once proud empire was broken. Ilara joined him, her eyes calm but fierce. We've won this battle, she said, but the fight isn't over. They'll be back. Cole nodded. They always come back. Suddenly, the ship trembled. The sensors picked up a signal, low frequency, massive energy buildup. A jump drive charging, Ilara said. Too close. To ignore. On the main screen, a new ship appeared. Bigger than any before. A living nightmare. The Eclipse Serpent. It blotted out stars with its size, a black mass covered in pulsing veins of red light. It moved with unnatural speed, fueled by technology stolen and corrupted from the humans themselves. Cole's lips tightened. This is Malvrix's last card. The Eclipse Serpent fired a beam of pure energy. It slammed into the Vakar's Claw, shaking the ship to its core. Alarms blared. The creatures, the Ark soldiers, stood ready. Ilara gripped her weapon. We hold! Cole accessed the ship's core. Virus code flared, awakening every system. He reached into the depths of the ship's AI and pushed harder than ever before. The ship responded, shifting shape. Armor reconfigured. Weapons recalibrated. A pulse burst from the Vakar's Claw, meeting the Eclipse Serpent's beam. The two forces clashed, light against darkness, will against power. The battle stretched through space like a thunderstorm, fierce and unstoppable. Inside the chaos, Cole felt something new, a surge of strength, not just from machines, but from humanity itself. From every soldier who refused to surrender, from every mind that fought in silence, from every heart that beat stubbornly against the night. The Eclipse Serpent faltered, its weapons flickered, its engines slowed. Ilara fired the final shot, a precise strike that pierced the beast's core. The great ship exploded into 1,000 fragments, scattering across the void. Silence. Peace. The stars twinkled again. Cole looked at Ilara. "We did it." She smiled. "But this is only the beginning." He nodded. The humans had survived. They had fought, and they had changed everything. Because in the vast darkness of space where empires rise and fall, one truth remained clear. Humanity never quits, and when the universe laughed at their weakness, they laughed last. The war was over, but the legend of humanity had only just begun.